Hello, world. Welcome to WFHR's Rapids Report for this Monday, November 10th, 2025. Big shout out to our friends at Crockett Septic sponsoring this segment. And, of course, you have your host, James, here. We're joined right now by our good friend, Rock Larson, Wood County Veteran Service Officer. Rock, it is always good to have you in studio. How you been?
It's been busy, but it's great to be here.
Can only imagine. We will wrap up talking about some of the Veterans Day events going on in our community, but I wanted to start, Rock, with of all days to have you in, what a perfect day. Today is not only Forget-Me-Not Day, National Forget-Me-Not Day, which is a day of observing and honoring those members of our service that have sacrificed so much, and they come back, and honoring them, and it is also the Marine Corps' birthday. So perfect day to be talking with you, sir.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Rock, I know that there's, you mentioned tomorrow being Veterans Day and our pregame, talking a little bit about this. Certainly got a lot going on, I imagine, tomorrow.
There are not enough hours in the day.
Yeah. What are some of those things you're going to be doing? What would you like to focus on today?
Well, first off, I'm starting off with, I'm visiting 2 veterans in assisted living in the morning just to chat, thank them, give them a couple of little trinkets, a water bottle, a kerchief.
That's really cool.
Flag hang up in their room and things like that. So that's kind of cool, something neat. Oh, what else are we doing? I am the MC for the dedication for the new memorial stones and stuff for the Wood County Memorial, which is not being held outside because it's too cold. No.
Yeah.
It's always a weird time. You can't count on it. So they've decided to have it at the Assumption. So it'll be at Assumption in the gymnasium, I imagine. And so that's at 1 o'clock, I believe, I think.
Yes, 1 o'clock. Yeah.
And then from there, I have to scoot down. I've been invited to the executive residence for a veteran celebration, which is mostly going to be, touching base with a lot of legislators that'll be there and stuff.
Really appreciate that work in particular.
Yeah.
That is very difficult and something that we need representation of. It's great to hear.
Yeah. So.
Rock, I know that you might have some things to touch on. Before we dive too deep into them, I also want to use this as an opportunity. So I, in the last couple of years, have lost a handful of members of my family that were service members. And in particular, when I think of them, I think of this day, and like many of our fellow Americans out there. But the other thing I think of, too, is the amount and the staggering rates of whether it is current soldiers or veteran suicide rates, and those rising every year. Yeah. The amount of our soldiers, our currently enlisted soldiers, let alone our veterans that are in need of service programs because they need help with whatever service programs there are available to them and everything. When it comes to doing right by our vets, when it comes to doing right by our currently enlisted soldiers, I think that it is on every one of our citizens to think of these things, to keep these things in mind, certainly on Veterans Day, but every day could be Veterans Day. Every day is a good day to be thinking about these things. And I am not trying to be corny with this at all or not. I'm trying to do right by the people that I'm here because of. I think it's important. And I don't think we do enough of this. There's plenty of... You see all over sports, plenty of salute the service and before a game, bringing out military members and a lot of these things. I don't see here enough conversation about these topics in particular. I certainly do from individuals like you, Rock, and people involved in this. I hear it from veterans all the time. I don't hear it enough from citizens. That they don't. No. I know that every American, 9 out of 10 Americans care about these things. I don't think we bring enough attention to them. Now is a great opportunity to do that while we have eyeballs on our veterans, while we have people thinking about this, to look at those stats yourself. You don't have to just listen to me. Go ahead and throw it into your Googler or whatever search engine you want and look at the stats, how much they have risen over the last 5 years in particular since the pandemic when it comes to how many of our service members are fighting to put food on the table, how many of them are struggling with mental health. It's important. These individuals are the reason we are here to be able to enjoy the American life. I think it's the least we can do to pay attention to these topics.
Well, and it is, and to be aware of of everyone around you, not just veterans who may be changing, struggling. There are lots of programs. I know the health department does them periodically. VA, QPR, question, persuade. I can't remember what the R is. Refer. So programs to make us more aware of someone who may be having a mental health crisis. And I know they all, especially in the military, oh, there's no stigma there. If we perceive ourselves there's a stigma, there is a stigma, let alone if there actually is or not. And one of my favorite psychological theories, cognitive dissonance. We have to believe that we're okay, even if we're not. That's the way our mind works. Yeah. And if you see somebody, but anybody, but a veteran who's struggling, refer them or talk to them about, there's the Vet Center, which is low-key, non-invasive counseling. Anybody who's been in the service can pretty much get at least 5 free sessions with them just to see if there's something going on. And you owe it to yourself, but also to your family and your employer, just to see if there is. And then from there on, we can get into maybe some more structured therapy
more specific to you
with the VA healthcare, or if that's not where you want to go, the Vet Center is still there because it's. You don't know where someone is in their career. They're worried about if they're still in the Guard or Reserve. They don't want that stigma.
Yeah.
They don't want that coming around behind them and biting their career. But mental health, you can't let it fester because it will fester. It's like an infection. It just gets bigger. You can't keep it shoved in that closet in your mind. So, if you know of a veteran who's kind of having problems or think they're having problems, ask.
Yeah.
It's not just say, hey, there are resources out there. We can help you get to them. Your county veteran service officer can help you. The state veterans VORP program, Veterans Outreach and Recovery, has a mental health component with clinicians. But then on top of that, if they're suffering and then they have other stresses, relationship stresses, finance, job, which is kind of finance but kind of not, or it can be either way. Those all multiply, as we used to call in the military, combat multipliers. You have artillery that multiplies what you can do as an infantryman. Air support multiplies. Well, these stresses multiply. They build on you, and they make it all so much worse. And there is help out there. Please, for your loved ones, if not for yourself, get out there and ask for a little bit of help just to see. Because if it's, maybe you're right and you're fine and it's the rest of us that are out, but maybe not. And we do need to look and have somebody that's not emotionally involved in what you're going through to help you kind of lay it out.
Yeah, having that third party there that has no, one way or the other about it. They're just looking at you as an individual and being able to really help you assess this. Right. And I think that certainly our veteran, but anybody could be well suited by this, and something to keep in mind. Rock, did you have anything you wanted to focus on today?
All sorts of things going on. So in addition to, we're still not struggling, but just plowing ahead with all this toxic exposure, PACT Act stuff. I've seen some amazingly different stuff come out with wins for disabilities now because they were on places that were toxic dumps. K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base had a win recently. I mean, I'm just looking, I don't think there's anything there. And I go, oh wait, there is. and this veteran with a couple different types of cancer, and we've got him service connected, and him and his family are getting benefits. And then there's all sorts of neat things kind of sort of going on in the legislature. One of the big things that our state association testified on last week is a driver's identifier, labeling veterans, making that available to the reserve component people who served in the reserve component. So that's a big thing. There's another big...
It's a big for representation on that, and I can only imagine what it means to those individuals.
Right, because there really aren't, unless they're called up for active duty, other than training, or injured, heaven forbid, which happens, because military trainings, you play with big toys and you do it while you're tired.
Right.
And in the dark and stuff. So stuff happens. We can get service connection on that if it's documentation. But for those that served their 4 or 6 years of going to drill weekend and worrying about whether or not they're going to get called up, but they made it through. There's a a flag and funeral honors upon their death, and maybe a VA home loan. But other than that, there's not a lot of where this would give them, recognition. They're sitting there with this. They can use it to get their reduced.
Can go a long way.
There's a lot of different benefits for being a veteran that people, community or businesses out in the community and nationwide offer for those who have served, given up some of their time and lots of their freedom to protect our freedom.
Yeah, this is something well said, because this is something they've earned. This is something they should, in my wording, I think they should have already had. So it's great to get to this point.
It is, and there seems to be a lot of support in the legislature for that. So that's a big thing. They're still looking at the property tax credit. There's a bill in to lower it down to 80%, whereas last session and session before it was 70%. And it's such a big price tag. There's a lot of 70%ers, and there's fewer 80 and 90. And as I often say when I'm talking to legislators, the reality is, sooner or later, somebody's got to pay that ticket.
Yep.
And as our association's testimony said, this is a compromise because nobody gets in a democracy everything they want. It's a frugal steward of our tax dollar, but it's also recognizing and honoring those who are catastrophically disabled due to their service in the military.
Right. Which, again, one of those things that I think I could not imagine not wanting to help, not wanting to be there for that in any way we can as citizens.
And those two are moving along. There's a bunch of other things that may or may not have the light of day, may or may not. The reality is, the minority party, if they stay the minority party, the bills that are introduced are probably not going to go far by them alone. However, in the next election, that might change, and these then might be more viable. So there's a bunch of stuff out there, but it's the reality of the legislative process.
Which is why another reason why it's important when it comes to these topics to know who you're voting for, to know where they stand on these issues, if that matters to you, and to keep it in mind.
And also, if these issues do appeal to you, if you're in favor of them, you need to let your legislator know.
Yes.
Because they get enough calls, they will, if they, it's a nice thing to do, but nobody really cares about it, so I'm just going to, and we'll move on to something that's people are bothering us with. Squeaky wheel thing. But show your support in any legislation, whether it's veteran or schools or whatever.
It goes a lot farther than I think we can realize sometimes, especially just talking to these individuals that come in and join us and everything, and how much they want to do that job. I even am guilty of this sometimes, where I get really locked and I want to lump all politicians together. That's not the case, and especially just speaking of the local ones we have, where I have Senator Tessin and Representative Krugen once a month, and just talking to them on air, off air, I know how much this topic means to them. Reaching out to individuals like that, it's how they, to be blunt, it's how they do their job right. But hearing from us that we're the boss here, we're the ones telling them what we want. You got to tell them. You got to tell them, though. You got to make sure to tell them, and it's not a bad idea to be reminding them of it from time to time. One email might not do it. You might have to keep it up.
No. I know some call them all the time.
Yeah, right. But
we try as an association. I'm on our legislative team. I'm no longer the chairman, thank goodness. But it's
reach out.
You got to reach out. You got to be informed, and you have to remember that with most of these things, it comes with a price tag, and when it comes with a price tag, it's our money, and I don't have enough of it, so I would like them to be responsible on what. But there are certainly many, many others that deserve a little bit, because I'm blessed, they may not be. Type thing. And you can't, there but for the grace of God could be us. And so it's a democracy. Nobody gets everything they want, but boy, we've got to take care a little bit of the people that really are struggling and need our help.
It's our honor to do that. This is not a responsibility. This is not a pulls down on you or your income or something like that. It is an honor to be able to do these things. And again, encourage you to reach out to your representatives and make sure that they know how much it means to you and how important it is to us. Rock, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on before I let you go?
Just a little bit, let's say, I've got a presentation I'm giving to Renaissance Learning, nationwide type, a little wellness thing, the day after Veterans Day, about veterans. And the bottom line is, a country is kind of judged by how they treat their elderly, their children, their disabled, and their veterans. Mm-hmm. Those are all very needy and worthy populations who have either suffered by the unfortunate grace of God, with the disabilities. Veterans have given so much. The elderly, I deal with people that long outlived their retirement plan. They didn't think they were going to live to be in their 90s type thing, and trying to figure out ways to make that stretch a little longer, is a wonderful project of my days. Mm-hmm. So treat them all well.
Yeah, well said, Rock. I just wanted to touch on some Veterans Day events here in Rapids that are going to be going on. As far as for today, this Monday, if you're listening to this, keep in mind that there's a VFW spaghetti dinner that's waiting for you. Veterans eat free at the VFW Post 2534 at 2711 Redden Road here in Rapids. 4:30 to 7, that will be going on. And then on Tuesday, November 11th, 11 a.m., Veterans Day ceremony at Veterans Park in downtown Rapids. At 1 o'clock, Rock mentioned the Legacy Stone dedication that will be happening at Assumption High School on Chestnut Street here in Rapids. And at 3 o'clock, the Veterans Day observance with rededication of the Veterans Memorial. That'll take place over at Mid-State Technical College at 32nd Street North here in Rapids. We'll be talking about these on our morning show again, and keep these in mind, everybody. Keep them close to heart. Attend them all if you can. Be there for your vets as much as you can. And Rock, if people have follow-up questions, would like to know more, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way is probably a phone call to our office, 715-421-8420. Give us a call, set up an appointment. We'll sit down and go over everything with your veteran and try to see if there might be some way we can improve their life and bring resources here to wonderful Wood County.
Our County Veteran Service office is located here in Rapids at the Wood County Courthouse at 400 Market Street, right here in Rapids. They're on the first floor. And you can also find out more information by going to the website, woodcountywi.gov, woodcountywi.gov. Rock, always good to talk to you. We'll talk again real soon.
All right, pleasure.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you, everybody, for joining us for another edition of WFHR's Rapids Report.